against illegal mining. Many thanks for joining us, Daryl.
For the ChannelOne.
Good evening. Pleasure to be here.
What is your assessment of the government's current approach to tackling illegal mining, particularly after President Mahama's stance on not declaring a state of emergency?
Yes, good evening. And I must say that if you ask me about how the fight against Galamsey is going, I would say almost 9 months down the line with the president being sworn into office. Let's look at our river bodies. Let's look at our farmlands. And evidence is clear. Nothing has changed. The pressure and impunity still continues. And so to that extent, I would say that yes, the president has indicated that they are rolling out quite a number of activities on the ground. I must acknowledge that some of them are working, but the menace and the impunity still exists. And to that extent, there's still a long way we have to go. So I would say that if you listen to stories like these from Kwenyalko and their water coming from upstream areas in the eastern region, and it's actually the scenario and the situation across the country. Talk about the tunnel of Fane River, talk about the Pra, all of them. There's still pollution ongoing, with some communities also being exposed to significant mining now because they feel that their government is in power, so it is time for them to also feed. So they are all going about doing their business, and the police also on the ground are practically watching on what this is. So for me, if you ask, the evidence on the ground shows that we are not there, and we are not seeing the result that we expected to see by this time.
Daryl, the president insists that existing laws are sufficient to address the menace. Now, from your perspective, are these laws strong enough, or is enforcement the real challenge?
No, I think we need to, yes, acknowledge our laws have played a very critical role. Most of them serve the purpose for which we are supposed to ensure sustainable mining in this country. But the biggest problem has been our own way of enforcing and ensuring compliance. So it is not the law. Yes, there are challenges with some bits of we requiring that small scale miners pay reclamation bonds and all of that, and miners also being held accountable for the damage they cause. Fortunately, now some of the laws have been reviewed. If you talk about the EPA Act, which was recently passed, talks about reclamation and also the polluter pay principle being imbued in them. But the question is, to what extent is our state agencies ensuring compliance? That has been our biggest problem. So I think that if we say the law is there, why are we not implementing it? And here is the case: the law, Act 995, talks about the need to prosecute people who are fabricating equipment for Galamsey, the need to prosecute people who are financing Galamsey, the need to prosecute foreigners before they are even deported out of the country. But the government comes and sets aside the law and decide not to implement the law as it is. So the law is clear, and we have the laws that can really help us to deal with the issues. But the government is always whittling down the power of the law by setting them aside and doing whatever they want. Enforcement has been very terrible, and that is why the impunity persists.
With no state of emergency in sight and looking ahead, what single bold step would you recommend the country takes now?
Well, I think we have not seen anything new so far. The government did talk about, or the president did talk about, we now having 9 months. But let's be frank, 9 months is struggling. They don't have the resources that is needed to do what is required of them. So for me, if the president does not see the sense that we need to really institute some targeted state of emergency measure to curtail the impunity in some of these hotspots, then you ask yourself, what really is the government going to do then? I mean, they say that they've rolled out the responsible cooperative mining. This is something that is yet to begin. If you look at the policy in all intent and substance, there's nothing new from what we used to know, the community mining. And it's only going to perpetuate more Galamsey and more illegal activity if we do not really comply with the laws as we always do. So I think that the biggest challenge still, all that we can do now is let's go back to the drawing board and ensure that our state institutions do the work that they are mandated to do. If we can't do that simple task, and we are not willing to institute a state of emergencies now, then I guess we should all put our hands on our heads and forget about a successful campaign to deal with this menace.
All right, Daryl, how do we deal with political interference in the fight against Galamsey?
Well, I think you know that, we are here talking about this because every government, every party who takes over decides to do things the way they want. They don't listen to citizens. If politicians and the political fraternity will set aside their political interests and think about the state, think about the citizens first, things will be done differently. And so far, I think what is missing is leadership. Whether it is the MPP in power or the NDC in power, we are missing the critical leadership that will set aside the political interest and prioritize the citizens' interest over anything else. At the moment, that is what we are missing, and we need true leadership, not politically, I'll say motivated leadership as we are seeing now. We need true leadership, and that is what is missing.
Daryl Bosu, always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for...
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Away from that, the Ministry of Health has reaffirmed its commitment to work